She was screaming so loud. How did we not hear it? How did we miss the signs of her sexual abuse? Hindsight is 2020. It's much easier to see things from the rear view behind us that we've already lived through than to be able to be in the moment and see something. In this case, that hindsight is haunting. It's forever haunting. As a parent, our role is to provide, protect, and prepare our children. How did we miss this? We failed her. We failed all of these children that were hurt. My daughter compassionately reminds me that we were not supposed to know. The abusers worked very hard to hide it and taught the kids to hide it too. The children were taught over time and grooming and manipulation to keep secrets. I will cover more about grooming in an upcoming session. In this case, it wasn't so much that they were told they were getting in trouble or that it was their fault, as much as it just became so normalized, it wasn't even something to talk about. It was just normal. Can you imagine? So much grooming, so much conditioning over time, that things just became normal. There are certainly cases where children are told that if the secret was shared, it would be them that would get the child that would get in trouble, not the abusers. And they are told that what was happening was their fault, the child's fault. But when that stops working, they are threatened to harm the child or anyone that they cared about, and that it will disrupt the family life, such as your mom will lose a place to live or your mom will go to jail too. This intimidation is all part of controlling the child and keeping the child silent. Our schools taught stranger danger, and we were warned about internet predators. If we talked about appropriate touch, it was awkward and quickly, and maybe even only once. I even joined Facebook and MySpace to keep an eye on the kids' communications, completely unaware of what was happening behind the scenes and offline. You may say to yourself, well, we don't allow our children to spend the night away from home. But be careful. Our daughter never spent the night away from home. This was not happening during those times. This was happening at times when she was next door to us, when we were home during regular hours of the day. This abuse can happen anytime, after school, during school, and on the weekends. I was not equipped, and I did not equip her for the extensive and calculated grooming by someone we trusted who had frequent access to our daughter. The dark world of secrets for her and the other children involved, the unexpected and inappropriate, became all too common, normal. It gnaws at me. I replay in my head conversations, replaying moments over and over, looking for what I missed. My husband reminds me that it is not what I didn't do when I didn't know. It's all about what I did when I did know. I have a daily mantra that God forgives me and I forgive myself. It's a choice. It's not how I always feel. I choose to forgive myself so that we are not rendered powerless as victims. I choose to forgive myself so that I can more clearly see the future and be an agent of change for the future instead of chained to the unchangeable past. It is all too easy to be too busy to notice subtle messages. After all, we work away from home. We have other children in the household. We are dealing with homework, with discipline, with travel, with bills to pay. And most importantly, we simply are not expecting this to happen. When we are too busy, we often see what we expect, not what we don't expect. It's our brain's way to handle the overload of information and activity. So I'm learning that we must learn to slow down, to ask good questions, and to listen. Listen for what is not being said, and to recognize and follow our instincts, to trust our gut. There can be many reasons for these signs. We dismissed each of them gradually to one reason or another, such as childhood diagnosed ADHD was the reason for her lack of focus. to it was a teenage phase that she would outgrow, or even, teenage angst. I don't remember if I ever asked why. Why do you think you are feeling this way? And even if I did, which maybe I did, it was too shameful and too painful for her to feel comfortable to speak up, because we had not talked enough about what to expect in grooming and body safety. I believe that I had not created an environment for her to feel more comfortable. She believed what the abusers told her about it being their secret. And in the environment over time they had created for it, it seemed so normal. The signs we now know were there, but we missed the grooming and the abuse that happened over a span of several years. The abuse did not happen all at one time. That would be too obvious. Predators know they would get caught with something like that. And these signs did not all show up at one time. It was just like a slow drip faucet, just a steady drip, drip, drip. And before you know it, it was a severe consequence. Here are some of the signs that I missed. She had a lot of trouble falling asleep. She could not fall asleep. She was afraid to sleep alone. She was awakened with nightmares and night terrors. She had headaches. She had stomach aches. She was eating less, nauseating anxiety. And none of these things were explained by food allergies. We looked at that. We thought it was maybe that. She went through a phase where she didn't want to shower. She didn't want to take a bath. She had a constant little injury here or there. Her ankle was hurt. This was hurt. That was hurt. And then, of course, there was the cutting, which we never saw or knew about, but her peers may have. It takes a lot for me to confide in you that I miss this. We miss this, her parent team. And looking at this list, you may certainly think, how in the world could you have missed all of those things? How could you have missed that something so serious, that there wasn't something wrong? And as I said, it just happened gradually over time, slowly. And then in hindsight, it all adds up to a massive list and makes more sense. There always seemed to be a reasonable explanation, even from doctors. We thought maybe she had a food allergy. We did an elimination diet. We just weren't sure what was going on. Maybe her headaches were coming from hormones. And her medical doctors didn't ask the questions either. I'm willing to be this vulnerable with you so that you can learn from us. Don't let what happened to us happen to you or to your friends and family. And I don't care what you think about me. Just learn from me, learn from it, and save a child. Here are some of my lessons. I'll include some lessons that I've learned in the show notes so that you can look at how to be prepared, how to discuss a safety plan, some education at schools on how to speak up and tell if someone's being abused, how to know the signs to look for by age, how to ask questions and listen for answers, and also a resource that if you are the adult who is confided in about the abuse, and because child sexual abuse is so common, 1 out of 10 is what is thought to be the underestimated statistic, then it's very possible that even if not your child, one of your child's friends may confide in them and your child may come to you about it. What will you do? So be prepared. Thank you for listening and for taking this seriously. And I hope that you do learn from our experience.